Bonnie Raitt sings a song about unrequited love called I Can't Make You Love Me. How you like that for a title? I Can't Make You Love Me. Bonnie sings one mournful line after another and comes to this line from the chorus with almost a wail of grief. I can't make you love me if you don't. You can't make your heart feel something it won't. But Jesus refutes Bonnie Raitt when he says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Jesus is a lot more hopeful on the subject of hearts than Bonnie Raitt. We often get that phrase, that verse turned backwards. We often say, where your heart is, there your treasure will be. And we talk about how we spend our money reveals what sort of people we are. But according to Jesus, how we spend our money determines what sort of people we become. Treasure is not just money. It is whatever we value. Time, possessions, families, physical bodies. And Jesus says that what we do with our treasures affects our hearts. It determines who we are inside. It determines what sort of people we become. Now, this means that the sad song of Bonnie Raitt isn't true. We can make our hearts feel what they don't. We can control our hearts, direct them in ways we want them to go. We can do so in a very practical way by deciding what sort of people we want to be and then giving our treasure, our time, our talent, and our money to those things we want to care about. Jesus was not a fundraiser, but he talks about money an awful lot. But not because he wanted people to give to any particular cause. He talked about money because he cared about his disciples and because he knew that what we do with our money affects who we are spiritually. Jesus tells us that giving generously is a way to grow in faith when he says, where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. There are other ways to phrase it or to put it. Don't give based on the faith you have, but on the faith you yearn to have. Give to God's work and your relationship with God will deepen. Give to God not only because you believe, but in order to believe more deeply. Give faithfully, and you will grow your faith. Now, this is more than a clever twist of words. I have seen this lived out time and time again in the lives of those whose generous giving has deepened their relationship with God. It is not just those who are wealthy who can give generously. In fact, according to a recent survey by the Pew Center for Ethics, the poor gave a much larger percentage of their income than those at upper income levels. The poor are also less likely to reduce their giving in hard times. We are called to give in proportion to what we have. A very wealthy woman spoke at a church meeting about her Christian faith. And she said, "I'm a millionaire and I attribute my wealth to the blessings of God in my life." She told of the turning point in her faith. She had just earned her first dollar and she went to a church service and a missionary was making a pledge for support. When it came time for the offering, she knew she would either have to give her only dollar or nothing at all. At that moment, she decided to give all that she had to God. She said that God had blessed her decision and had made her wealthy. When she finished, there was an awed silence. Suddenly, an elderly gentleman jumped up from the back and said, "I dare you to do it again." I have been doing ordained ministry for 34 years in a variety of settings in the church, geographically, culturally, vocationally. I have to tell you in all honesty, there is very little about life in the church that surprises me anymore. I think I am to the point of being unshockable. Everywhere I go in ministry, there are some folks who say either they don't go to church because all the church ever does is talk about money, or because I don't want to be asked to give money when I'm at church. Two variations on the same theme. I think I am a reasonably aware human being. And I have to tell you that in all settings of the church I have ever been in, I have never heard money talked about or asked for on a constant, persistent, prevalent basis. I love this passage out of Paul, his second letter to the Corinthians. It quickly cuts to the chase and talks about the joy of giving, the joy in generosity. Paul eagerly looked for every opportunity to praise his congregation where he could. He loved praising his congregation. I love praising my congregation. So we agree. Paul, the preacher and the teacher, was challenging his congregation to acknowledge that they were richly blessed, that what they had, first of all, came from God, that God had given to them abundantly through God's surpassing grace, that indeed they can give generously because the glass is not half empty, the glass is half full. Now, in today's world, not many of us actually do much sowing and reaping anymore. In the South Bay of Southern California, there are not many farmers out there planting a crop of wheat and then reaping what they have sowed. I didn't see any this morning, even through the fog, on my way to church. That's where the financial reality of the presence of money comes into play. Money is the symbol of what we both sow and reap. Money is the reality of what we both sow and reap, to use Paul's analogy. Since we can no longer talk about kernels of grain, we now must deal with silver and paper and plastic and gold instead, and I think you get my drift. Sometimes we function out of a place of scarcity. There just isn't enough to go around. Get what you can, use other people to do it, get rid of them when they stand in your way. There's not enough to go around, so get what you can while you can. Scarcity thinking can give us all kinds of good, rational, sensible reasons not to be generous. Oh, that organization has plenty of money. They don't need mine. Why, I would be shortchanging my family if I gave this money away. I'd better save this money for a rainy day. I worked hard for it. I deserve to keep it. If we just work harder, save more, and manage our lives better, we will achieve true happiness through our efforts. We don't need God. We don't need other people. We are self-sufficient, the center and ruler of our own universe. Nothing and no one should be allowed to get in the way of our own self-fulfillment. I am here to tell you in confession, I have been there. To put it another, more playful way, a preacher colleague, Eric Williams, talks about two worldviews, Ruffles and Doritos. Not too long ago, there was a Ruffle potato chip ad showing two Eskimos sitting in the midst of a vast, uninhabited frozen wasteland. And one fellow was having a wonderful time eating the contents of his bag of Ruffles, while the other was sitting off to a distance and looking longingly in his direction. In his reply to a request for a chip, the first Eskimo declares to his lone companion, "But if I gave one to you, I would have to give to everybody." Nothing should get in my way of keeping all that God has given me for myself. These are my Ruffles. I deserve my bag of Ruffles. Go get your own. At the same time, there was a nacho cheese Doritos ad employing comedian Jay Leno as philosopher spokesperson. After extolling the chip's great flavor and radical crunch, Leno gave us Dorito eaters free rein. Crunch all you want. We'll make more. Crunch all you want. We'll make more. My friends, the Christian theology of abundance is more Doritos than Ruffles. Share all you have. God will make more. We live in abundance. We just need to open our eyes and realize it, and open our hands and share it. Now let's consider this congregation's current stewardship emphasis. Let's all step up together. It is what it says it is. This is a vehicle designed to encourage each one of us in this congregation to see ourselves with an important part to play in the future and the support of our ministry, our mission, our philanthropy, and our vision. During this time in which we consider our abundance, we will be asked to do something together that we could never do separately. That is to fully support and put on a sound footing the financial and voluntary foundations of this community of faith, which we say we love and will serve.